It is during our darkest moments that we must focus to see the light. The best friend is the man who in wishing me well wishes it for my sake. We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence then is not an act, but a habit. There is no genius without some touch of madness. The roots of education are bitter, but the fruit is sweet. Happiness is the meaning and the purpose of life, the whole aim and end of human existence. Quality is not an act, it is a habit. Happiness is an expression of the soul in considered actions. If you're enjoying these quotes, read our collection of Greek philosopher quotes on ancient knowledge to motivate you. Now, sin shame is a mental picture of disgrace, in which we shrink from the disgrace itself, and not from its consequences, and we only care what opinion is held of us because of the people who form that opinion. It follows that the people before whom we feel shame are those whose opinion of us matters to us. The rhetoric and the poetics of whatsoever that be within us that feels, thinks, desires, and animates, is something celestial, divine, and, consequently, imperishable. The whole is more than the sum of its parts. I count him braver who overcomes his desires than him who conquers his enemies, for the hardest victory is over self. The aim of the wise is to not secure pleasure, but to avoid pain. The ideal man bears the accidents of life with dignity and grace, making the best of circumstances. The high-minded man must care more for the truth than for what people think. Friendship is a single soul dwelling in two bodies. The one exclusive sign of thorough knowledge is the power of teaching. It is easy to perform a good action, but not easy to acquire a settled habit of performing such actions. Man is a goal-seeking animal. His life only has meaning if he is reaching out and striving for his goals. It is possible to fail in many ways, while to succeed is possible only in one way. I count him braver who overcomes his desires than him who overcomes his enemies. It is not enough to win a war. It is more important to organize the peace. It is educated insolence. In all things of nature, there is something of the marvelous. The soul never thinks without a picture. A friend to all is a friend to none. The law is reason, free from passion. Courage is the first of human qualities because it is the quality which guarantees the others. Probable impossibilities are to be preferred to improbable possibilities. Bad people are in conflict with themselves. They desire one thing and will another, like the incontinent who choose harmful pleasures instead of what they themselves believe to good. All persons ought to endeavor to follow what is right, and not what is established. We acquire a particular quality by acting in a particular way. All proofs rest on premises. For the things we have to learn before we can do them, we learn by doing them. The greatest virtues are those which are most useful to other persons. The virtue of justice consists in moderation, as regulated by wisdom. Wicked men obey from fear, good men from love. The actuality of thought is life. Nature does nothing in vain. Dignity does not consist in possessing honors, but in deserving them. To avoid criticism, say nothing, do nothing, be nothing. To be conscious that we are perceiving or thinking is to be conscious of our own existence. Men acquire a particular quality by constantly acting a particular way. Become just by performing just actions, temperate by performing temperate actions, brave by performing brave actions. A tyrant must put on the appearance of uncommon devotion to religion. Subjects are less apprehensive of illegal treatment from a ruler whom they consider God-fearing and pious. On the other hand, they do less easily move against him, believing that he has the gods on his side. It is absurd to hold that a man should be ashamed of an inability to defend himself with his limbs, but not ashamed of an inability to defend himself with speech and reason. For the use of rational speech is more distinctive of a human being than the use of his limbs. The rhetoric and the poetics of educating the mind without educating the heart is no education at all. The educated differ from the uneducated as much as the living differ from the dead. Love is composed of a single soul inhabiting two bodies. Education is an ornament in prosperity and a refuge in adversity. The quality of life is determined by its activities. The Life is a gift of nature, but beautiful living is a gift of wisdom. Young people are in a condition like permanent intoxication, because life is sweet and they are growing. It is not once nor twice but times without number that the same ideas make their appearance in the world. The many are more incorruptible than the few. They are like the greater quantity of water, which is less easily corrupted than a little. Life in accordance with intellect is best and pleasantest, since this, more than anything else, constitutes humanity. The heaviest penalty for declining to rule is to be ruled by someone inferior to yourself. You could not step twice into the same river. The mind is not a vessel to be filled, but a fire to be kindled. He who is not satisfied with a little is satisfied with nothing. It is better either to be silent or to say things of more value than silence. Sooner throw a pearl at hazard than an idle or useless word, and do not say a little in many words, but a great deal in a few. Nothing exists except atoms and empty space. Everything else is opinion. I am a citizen of the world. The most difficult thing in life is to know yourself. Set thy heart upon thy work, but never on its reward. Work not for a reward, but never cease to do thy work. However many holy words you read, however many you speak, what good will they do if you do not act on upon them? The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. It does not matter how slowly you go as long as you do not stop. Cogito ergo sum. I think, therefore I am. That which does not kill us makes us stronger. Knowledge is power. Sapere aude. Dare to think. Man is born free, and everywhere he is in chains. Workers of the world, unite. Life can only be understood backwards, but it must be lived forwards. One ought to be both feared and loved, but as it is difficult for the two to go together, it is much safer to be feared than loved, if one of the two has to be wanting. Every man I meet is in some way my superior, and in that, I can learn of him. All of humanity's problems stem from man's inability to sit quietly in a room alone. Common sense is not so common. In the depths of winter, I finally learned that within me there lay an invincible summer. Bad men need nothing more to compass their ends than that good men should look on and do nothing. Talent hits a target no one else can hit. Genius hits a target no one else can see. The limits of my language mean the limits of my world. Man is condemned to be free. Human happiness and human satisfaction must ultimately come from within oneself. If you don't know, the thing to do is not to get scared, but to learn. One's life has value so long as one attributes value to the life of others, by means of love, friendship, indignation, and compassion. Beauty is no quality in things themselves, it exists merely in the mind which contemplates them, and each mind perceives a different beauty. We have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so we should listen more than we speak. Fate guides the willing, but drags the unwilling. There could be no justice, unless there were also injustice, no courage, unless there were cowardice, no truth, unless there were falsehood. Cease to hope, and you will cease to fear. Let your desires be ruled by reason. I begin to speak only when I'm certain what I'll say isn't better left unsaid. We suffer more often in imagination than in reality. If you accomplish something good with hard work, the labor passes quickly, but the good endures. If you do something shameful in pursuit of pleasure,